to CIO News on our series of Securing What Matters, an exclusive fireside chat with our CSOs powered by McAfee and Inspira. I'm Khushbu Soni, a host for the broadcast and a moderator at CIO News. This is a recorded session and will be available on our website, that is cionews.co.in, and our CIO News LinkedIn handle. Let me dive in introducing our guest for today for yet another episode. Mohit Srivastava, the Head of Information Security at Jubilant. Mohit brings decades of experience and expertise in information security, IT management, IT project management, and IT technology audits. Mohit has worked with some of the very good brands in the past, such as 𝗘𝗅𝗰𝗹𝗂𝘀𝗶, Xerox, Aviva India, and many more. Mohit is a certified information systems advisor, as well as certified ethical hacker, and a sound knowledge about frameworks such as 𝗘𝗍𝗫𝗄. Mohit, it's an absolute pleasure to have you today.
Thank you.
Our next guest is Hiral Sharma. She's a senior cybersecurity advisor and an experienced sales leader. Hiral is an avid speaker and a presenter. She loves to do storytelling in this era of technology. And Hiral is also leading a face of women in cybersecurity space with extensive experience for over a decade in the field of cybersecurity. Hiral has been looked upon as a trusted advisor by many organizations, specifically in the government, defense, and PSO. Welcome, Hiral.
Thank you so much, Khushbu. Excited to be here and looking forward to the conversation today.
Great. Our next panelist is DK Srivastava. He's the Vice President Sales at Inspira Enterprise India Private Limited. DK has about 23 years of rich experience in enterprise security solution, working with the enterprises in India. He has successfully helped customers transform their cybersecurity by partnering with the top OEMs coupled with the services. Welcome, DK.
Thanks, Khushbu. Great to be here.
Awesome. So I think we're good to begin. I would like to start with the first question to Mohit. Mohit, my first question is, the pandemic accelerated the journey to cloud, and most of the organizations were kind of looking at work from anywhere and enabling their employees to work from anywhere. What does the next normal look like for workplace?
When this pandemic started, it was a black swan event for all of us. Black swan, this is a typical term in a risk methodology where all your strategies fail, right? Your BCP don't work and nothing. So these are one of the rarest situations when it happens. And I don't know whether I should call it as lucky to see them and experience it, because see, everything gives you a learning. It gives you a very different perspective. You always have got to look at the silver lining. I know businesses have taken hit. People health-wise took a hit. There's a lot of has gone. A lot of investment went down the drain. People lost lives. It went haywire. But from the cybersecurity perspective or from the IT perspective, what started happening? We started serving our businesses and our internal customers from a very different thought and an approach. And that's where this approach to cloud and turn around and just work from anywhere, things started coming out. Because of this uncertainty of the times, which we call it a new normal. Now organizations have now started charting course for the journey towards cloud computing. And also this buzzword of digital transformation started happening. So I know this pandemic impacted us a lot, but as I mentioned, the silver lining was we started looking at it a very different side. We started serving our customers, employees started logging in from anywhere. So if I give my example, my organization's example, we are inherently not a work from home company. We are manufacturing, we are into pharma and chemicals, and we are not inherently a work from home company. For us, it's a new experience altogether. But not letting a single day production loss, as well as not letting users feel that there's something different happening, and also not letting the guards down on the security. This was the challenge which we got posed with, and cloud helped us a lot on that. So obviously this, as you asked, how it helped a lot on the cloud. Uh, we moved, we adopted, we are a cloud first company. We moved a lot of loads on cloud. People started logging in from their homes. We had to put in certain controls around securing our, because there's no perimeter now. See, identity remains the perimeter now. There's no physical perimeter, which we typically used to call it as. Right. So how we can secure those identities. So this is how it is. If it was an opportunity in disguise, we management took cognizance of that. Management understood our problem statement, and we are on the path to that. So we could build a resilient business functions with this cloud adoption. I hope that answers your query.
It does. It does. As you rightly said, I mean, there has been an acceleration by moving to cloud for a lot of organizations, and good to hear the journey of yours. I also wanted to kind of understand, now that a lot of companies have started moving to cloud and their digital assets to cloud. How are you looking at securing those digital assets and your cloud environment?
Yeah, so as I mentioned, when this pandemic happened, employees started logging in from their what we call it in security terms is untrusted network. Yeah. For us, it's like our gates and windows and everything was open. People are coming from everywhere, anywhere. We cannot, as I started with, I cannot let a single day downtime to business. We have to service business. So securing pulling up the guards and keeping the portfolio of security or the fabric of security as is. So we identified that identity remains one of the key perimeter. Now we have to secure that. So who is coming from where? What is the profile or type of connectivity he or she is kind of coming into our network with? Can I bringing in, so just to break it down into bringing in risk-based authentication, that whenever user is coming in, checking the profile, whether I should allow him or her to enter the network or not, and once the person is inside the network, to what extent an access can be given. So we delved to that in detail. We laid down a plan. We had to do a complete re-architecturing of our systems, and this is how we took this challenge as and controlled it. I would say that identity piece we took care of anywhere. It could be through mobile, it could be through laptop and desktops. We refrain going on to BYOD model. So bringing into virtual desktop architecture. So that's where we control that.
Awesome. My next question is for DK. DK, as you work closely with most of the customer and being a leader in the service provider space, how do you see this cloud transformation journey?
So I think Mohit brought a couple of very pertinent points. That the boundary of your perimeter is your organization now, and this pandemic has definitely expedited the digital transformation. So these are a couple of givens now. What we see as an organization across the board in different with different industries is that the users are expecting their applications or their business delivery systems to be ready, whether they want to access it from home, office, restaurant, hotel, wherever they are comfortable. Because now we are not able to put a boundary that you need to come to office to access this. And that's the situation's demand. Now, obviously, what it has done is it has expedited the business transformation, and the easiest and the smoothest way uh, available was cloud. So most of the organizations who had who have been thinking, or probably the roadmap was 2 years, they have adopted it. And I mean, we would say that due to the current situation, because there was no option available at that time. Now, like Mohit mentioned, that who is accessing from where, we need to understand, and I need and I will add one more question here: who is accessing from where and what? If you answer these three questions, then you will put your security controls around that. And definitely, the strategies of the organizations could vary from organization to organization. However, these three basic questions need to be answered. So pandemic has expedited the digital transformation, adoption of cloud. With it, there are security challenges, but there are solutions and technologies available. If you really do this in the right manner, you would be able to do a seamless integration of your on-premise cloud hybrid infrastructure with performance and security. So that's what our experience has been. I think most of the organizations have adopted this, and we see great amount of excitement. And also, like Mohit mentioned, it's very important that the senior management is onboarded on this. And I think the confidence which the CISO team has been able to give to the senior management, that the workloads will be secure. I think that has really helped expedite the movement on cloud.
Very true. True. On that, my follow-up question is for Hiral. As a leader in the cybersecurity space, your advice, and if you can elaborate a little bit more on what DK just mentioned, how can CISOs and CIOs evaluate their security infrastructure with the next normal?
Okay, sure. Thank you, Khushbu. So I was absolutely inclined with what Mohit said and DK said. I mean, 10% given to them, and that's what we have been seeing globally from all the customers that we hear. As Mohit highlighted, specifically look at the manufacturing firm, which never had a work from home as a given, luxury to the customer, to all of their customers as well as to their, users. But look at the pandemic, the way it has put us in, for business to be agile and for the business to be continued, it was to be allowed, right? So imagine that, he had, let's say, certain branches, probably in numbers of less than 100 branches to manage as the head of. From there to multiply the number of employees, every employer has become a particular office for him. Now, since the network boundaries are not there, as DK said, it's completely become borderless. So if you look at the network transformation, the way it is happening, and also the data which is exploding beyond the perimeter, that's what we have been talking. We don't know the ways of entrance which are coming in from a threat perspective. Now, luckily, these are known to us, right? And this is very, very evident from last 2 years that this is the way of pattern that we have, adopted from a organization perspective globally. Attackers have also started beginning to exploit these perimeters and exploit these vectors which are available, specifically the cloud vectors, specifically the vectors which are borderless, specifically attacking those new normal of working, right? So we got to be smarter in terms of how do we handle our network connectivity which are coming in terms of providing secure access or secure edge to the customers, as Mohit said, and to our users internally. Second, to look at the threat, overall threat, not only inside your on-premise or cloud, or to look at it individually. Typical approach, if you see, have always been looking at in a siloed way. Like we have always adopted certain technologies in like on-premise models. Now today, if you look at anything which is on-premise or within data centers which is sitting, which was defined by the boundary, it's not scaling to the level of cloud. And if you do not get that visibility, if you do not understand those applications, those cloud behaviors, it's very, very difficult for an organization to protect themselves, right? So for us to be effective and to provide complete solution, We want to have a complete network transformation security, which is secure access and secure edge, and also complete data protection along with the threat protection. So if you can provide that as a complete holistic approach and strategize the overall platform for it, I think the organizations are good enough to go ahead with securing their infrastructure.
Awesome. Great. Okay. My next question is for you. So, while we talked about cloud security and there's a lot of prioritization to that. So just wanted to understand, how are you prioritizing in terms of resources and budgets in particular to build a secure cloud architecture?
That's the question for me?
Yes.
Okay. See, there were certain challenges about rerouting your budgets, because redefining, because we never envisaged this coming our way. But luckily, when we adopted, we got that support and traction to the management. We could do it. Most importantly, what we did, we started looking for a SaaS model approach, services model approach, so that we can remain agnostic to technologies, based on SLA, have an SLA-based approach, and that's the approach we inherently took. I just want to highlight one of the challenges which actually we started facing with this cloud adoption, is about having a skilled resourcing around it. See, as I said, it may be easy for you to adopt a technology, but the difficult it is to maintain it. How you are going to maintain that? We are a cloud first. We are adopting a lot of cloud model, SaaS model, it be IaaS, PaaS, but who's going to manage it? Do we have a skilled resources around it? Security and compliance concerns were also one of the prime most, because we are a highly regulated, and we work in a highly regulated industry. See, what is cloud? Basically, you are keeping your crown jewels in someone else data center, which you can't even see, can't go, can't even, you don't know what kind of, everything is on there on documents. So likewise, these were the few challenges, but we did our due diligence. Management acknowledged that, as I mentioned earlier, management acknowledged it, and we could divert the funds, and we did that. I feel that cloud is not a cheap option per se. You have to look for a cost benefit analysis before you deploy any of the solutions when it comes to SaaS or SaaS or IaaS matter. We have to see a lot of facets around it, not only the commercials, but what is our turnaround time to business? What benefits business is reaping out of this new adoption? And considering those, we have to figure out the profitability of our adoption, because it's not that let's have it cloud, we can just move on to cloud anytime, we can spin our resources any moment. But is it, when it comes to cost benefit analysis, we have to give a different way of exploring it. So this is what the due diligence and what the exercise we had to do a lot on the ground to make management convince around it. This is how we did.
Awesome. I think great insights. Following to that, my next question is, CIO and CSOs are thinking of driving efficiencies via consolidation to have a better compliance and a single pane of view. What are your thoughts on that? Mohit, sorry, that question was for you.
That's a question for me. Can you please repeat that? I didn't follow.
Yes, so I'm saying CIO and CSOs are thinking of driving efficiencies via consolidation to have better compliance and single pane of view. So what are your thoughts on that?
Frankly speaking, it's good to have, but very difficult to get it done. It's very easy to say that, okay, so in IT terms, we say every CIO's dream is to have all their loads on Linux infrastructure, right? But is it doable? I don't know. So one thing is about having an ideal situation. Other thing is whether you are going to achieve it or not. Likewise, single pane of view having compliance is really is required, because you have so different what do you call, different views. Everything got mixed up. You cannot juxtapose one solution with the other. You cannot have single pane of and that too in a complex environment which has a global presence, different mix, heterogeneous environment. So I would say good to have, but difficult to achieve. But it's not that it can't be achieved. There should be a solution provider. I think this solution or this approach should come more from cloud service providers from themselves, that how they well integrate with their peers, their competitors. We have to now started looking for a collaboration among different CSPs, so that as a customer, I have this what do you call, flexibility, that I can pick and choose, and without even thinking that, okay, whether integration would be easy or not, or whether I'll be able to, because the technologies have started evolving to that extent now. Because I'll please allow me to digress a bit. Like 𝗓𝗓, today we call a buzzword as zero trust. 𝗓𝗓 encompasses a lot of technologies: infrastructure security, network security, data security, everything. If today I see all these three comes from a very different area of expertise in security. Today we are looking at the consolidation. How are we going to manage it? Whether this product of 𝗓𝗓 is going to integrate with what I'm having on the ground. Many times when you start looking at the implementation piece, it sounds very good that 𝗓𝗓, I'm going to have a single pane, one single compliance. But when you come on the ground for getting it deployed, you see, okay, it does not integrate with this piece. You have added so much of fat by implementing this. Okay, once you have implemented, there are you don't have resources to manage, because the guy who manages data security would not understand network security. Network guy would say, I don't know infrastructure security, so on and so forth. So it's such a complicated system which we have created by getting it consolidated. And this is what the disruption is about, ought to happen. When you start adopting a new approach, a new disruption comes in. This would streamline, I would say, in few months or a year down the line, where this consolidation started happening. You started looking at more of integration among different OEMs and service providers. You'll see more resources coming up. The best angle to this, and which I feel and I foresee to that, is new job types will start emerging out of it. New resource type would start emerging out of it. Typically, previously, network used to be a network infrastructure, typical network infrastructure type of a job. Today, it's not. Today, you when it comes to cloud, you look for single person who can manage everything. It'd be security, it'd be network, it'd be anything. It's a new station of job resources has started happening. So coming back to your query about consolidation, yes, to happen in current scenario, I see it is happening, but it's difficult to achieve with especially with heterogeneous environments. And for, I think, year down the line with solutions providers like McAfee and help from Inspira and all, I think we should be able to achieve that.
True. I think to add on that, I think DK, if you can, maybe throw some light, wouldn't it be great to have a capability that combines a CASB, web protection, as well as DLP, which can be managed from one place? So if you can just add to what Mohit mentioned about the
I think Mohit again brought out a very, very important point that, technologies in each areas, they have really become expert in delivering a particular functionality, and they've really achieved a great level of, I would say, competency. Now, one of the biggest challenges which we see with many of our customers is these technologies are great, but they're delivering a point solution. So how does a CIO or a CISO look at it in an integrated view? And that's where the role of somebody like us comes in, because what we look at it is more from the visibility and control across the organization. So you choose one technology, it gives you a great benefit. And let me acknowledge that whatever technologies are available today, they are really doing a great job and they are delivering their particular functions with a great degree of competence. But like Mohit said, suppose you have one DLP. Now, is this DLP getting connected to your data classification, and is this working in tandem? That's the challenge here. Now, frameworks help you stay on the course. So frameworks, you can say that they're like your roads with dividers, but they will allow you to kind of identify that okay, you're on the right track. But it's the driver who has to finally do this, driving in the same lane. So that's where I think the role of a service provider like us comes in. And we also solve a big problem, which Mohit said, the problem of competence. Because typically the cyber security, the competencies are getting rare and expensive. Now, for an individual customer, it becomes very, very difficult to build all the competencies, train them, retain them, motivate them, and ask them to work on the same thing every day. Now, we as a service provider, which is we have large set of customers, in a diverse set of customers. We are able to kind of train them, retain them, give them bigger challenges. Because let's say if he's kind of not happy with one set of technology, he can be moved in the same set of technology, and we are able to manage the cost because the cost is spread across multiple customers. So that's where I think the role of a service provider like us in today's parlance becomes very, very important. And also it's a pressure on us because we need to kind of continuously train and evolve ourselves like the OEMs are doing. So if you look at, I'm taking the example of McAfee, what McAfee was 3 years back and what they are today. They have completely evolved, transformed, because the cloud was just in fancy and now the cloud is the core thing. So similarly for service providers like us, what we used to do 3 years back, we have completely evolved from there. And we are training and gearing up to kind of manage these new age technologies with our partners like McAfee. So I think we are a bridge, between the customer and the solution technology providers. And I think this will become, as we go along, this will become very, very important, and the chain will become stronger.
Rightly said. I think, yes, we all are evolving, right from, the service providers phase, from the OEM phase, as well as the customers, so everybody is kind of evolving in this era. So, and my next question is for Hiral. We also, Mohit also highlighted about 𝗓𝗍. So with the digital transformation, how do you see, secure access service edge, 𝗓𝗍, helping customers to build a secure architecture?
Sure. So if you look at 𝗓𝗍, so I kind of highlighted and hinted that's the way and that's the framework, how Gartner is highlighting, and most of the leading, if you see globally, that's the framework that organizations are adopting. But if you look at overall, I would just sum what Mohit said first. So he highlighted very key points, right? And since he is the user who's experiencing it, we have the live example here from a customer perspective, who's willing to go on a 𝗓𝗍 road. But if you look at 𝗓𝗍, it predominantly has two parts to it. Okay, so the first part is the network connectivity part of it, because the connectivity is no more a perimeter or data center connectivity that we're talking about. It's immersed, and we all understand. So either you can have a solution which is stronger on the network controls, but you miss out on the security fronts of it, which is what he highlighted, that if you try and focus on one part of it and second part is kind of missed. Okay. Second is you can have a very strong security solution, but you miss out on a network part of it. So that's what 𝗓𝗍 adoption has globally been, right? So the framework has been laid out, but since the convergence of network and security has not been done very, very good, I would say, that's the miss out that's happening globally. And that's not something that Mohit, you are facing, that's the global concern that customers are facing. And I would accept that happily. What we recommend from an organization's view perspective, ideally for a customer like you or a customer who's looking forward to a secure cloud journey, to have a balance between both. So you can have a solution which provides stronger security controls, because that is something that you cannot give away without, you cannot provide leeway. As you rightly said, security control needs to be tightened up. You have a security solutions which can obviously provide three critical things again out here, net. The first and forward, a secure service edge to your cloud journey. Basically, the edge is completely secured. It provides a detailed level of data protection. When I say data protection, is not only on perimeter and on-premise devices, also something that can give you visibility and control on cloud. So something which unifies your cloud, your endpoint, your network, and every control all together, put together, give you visibility, because data is key, right? As we all spoke. Last but not the least, the threat protection part of it, because as we talk along, the threat around the cloud is also evolving. So if you look at all the three perimeters of security from a SESI perspective, are the data protection part of it, the threat protection part of it, and the convergence to your cloud journey, which is the security to your network. If you can get that security control integrated with something like SD-WAN service provider, and that integrations are easily available. So you are stronger on security and covering your network part of it. Right. So lastly, I would want to convey from a security perspective, as I highlighted three areas, the solutions that you can look at. Solution must have capability to provide you the capability to have hyperscale service agents, which can, you highlighted one of the critical factors of cost. Usually people think that cloud adoption is going to reduce our cost, but it's not the reality. It's otherwise. So when you go for a security adoption and that also costs you like too much, your management is again going to raise their hands. However, they understand the business agility part of it. So a solution that is built in cloud, wherein you can easily provide like something, Khushbu highlighted one question to DK. What is 𝗘𝘅𝗶𝗿? So 𝗘𝘅𝗶𝗿 sits in like a broker, which is on the cloud, giving you all the visibility, control as to what are you doing on other cloud. So as you said, your data, your critical jewels are kept in somebody else's cloud. So we would sit in a broker, so the technology sits in a broker, looks into what the others are doing, what controls are there, what kind of accesses are provided, who's doing what in cloud. So you get complete visibility, compliance details from a cloud adoption perspective. So hyperscale converged cloud. Second, very important thing, multi-vector data protection, right? So you said, there are skill shortages, which I'm sure service providers, our partners like Inspira is going to take care of that. And we are training them regularly with the new upcoming technologies that we have. But to have multi-vector data protection, something that is unified. So you said policy once, and you said, it's different skill sets. So if you set the policy once, that should be applied in cloud, on-premise, in data center, wherever they are, and you get a unified view. Solution must have capabilities like that. And we as an OEM are understanding that pain points and developing those solutions around it, which can provide you the solution. Last but not the least, the threat protection part of it. So specifically towards the cloud native solutions, right? Cloud native threats have also started coming in. We provide integrated security controls, solutions like, remote browser isolation, that are all built into this unification of the model that we have built in. So my suggestion would be to look at a stronger security control, which is integrable with the network part of service provider edge, which is SD-WAN edge, and build in a complete security control. And from a resource and skill gapping perspective, tool itself will be able to guide you in a particular way. And plus we have our service providers too. So I think that net answers your question, Mohit. I think most of your queries I've tried and address those points. We can deliberate if you have anything further.
No, it does. So we actually started exploring around 𝗙𝗍 model, and this is where we came to a roadblock. That what approach should I be taking when it comes to implementing 𝗙𝗍? What obviously skill set which you already answered, and the second and the most prime was what approach should I be taking? Already have certain technologies running on the ground, right? The 𝗙𝗍 should be easily be should be able to integrate with what I am already running. I cannot just roll back everything and have a new solution altogether. So there are certain challenges, but I see that's my view, and you guys remain the subject matter expert. But I see it's gonna take around a year or so for 𝗙𝗍 to evolve as a solution as a whole. I think when I discuss with different OEMs on SASE, they themselves sound very differently when it comes to a SASE approach. This itself shows that SASE is evolving, because everybody is taking their own view and an own approach to handle. Not that that's wrong, but at least somewhere a consolidation to a single point is required, and that's very obvious, because see, data security, today we run DLP, we are running solutions on cloud, and everything has to get consolidated somewhere at some point in time. So thanks, I acknowledge your point.
Sharma.
Great. I think this has been a wonderful conversation. Before we wrap up, I just have one last question for Mohit. Mohit, if you would want to share any do's and don'ts or any best practices for other fellow CIOs and CSOs who are viewing our session. So any last pointers from you, Mohit?
Do's and don'ts or something, I would say when it comes to security, today we talk a lot about this zero trust model, right? SASE is built around. On a lighter note, I always say which security does not follow zero trust. First, tell me that. Security inherently is a zero trust. So please go by books, stick to books. You have to adopt. See, security is a moving target. The way it has been evolving, we have seen changing threat vectors in past around 18 months or 16 months now. How the graph has surged. We have to, it's not a constant thing. You have to keep evolving, remain aligned with business, keep aligning yourself, change your strategy around security. Security is not a 5-year roadmap. It's a month's roadmap now. So, and stick to books. So it's not that you deploy everything and you just keep punching holes in your security fabric by not following different processes. It's a mix of people and technology. Simple, as simple as that.
Great. I think wonderful insights, Mohit, from you, DK, Hiral. I'm sure our viewers are going to get good insights from our today's session. So thank you so much for joining in on our another episode of CIO News. Thank you, and it's a pleasure to host you all.
Likewise. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Khushbu. It's great to interact with everybody out here.
Likewise. Bye.
Bye.